everyone to Sovereign Vibrations. This is our new podcast. I'm Kiran Shashi.
And I'm Nikki. Welcome.
Welcome. And this is our first, what we're going to call it?
Our podcast YouTube channel thing.
First one. So we're going to talk a little bit more about ourselves this time, and just to let you know who we are and our backgrounds, individually, and also how we met and what we've been doing together and things that we hold in common. And then hopefully we can bring on some guests onto the podcast, and that will be a little bit more on our wavelength, and we can talk a little bit more about our different concepts, spiritual concepts. And we would also like to give some free live meditations on the podcast.
Okay, Kiran. So how did you get into, I would call you a yogi. So what would you say you are? Let's get into, how did you get started down this path, whatever this path is?
Definitely, primarily, yes, a yogi. And then obviously it just started to expand. But my family, I'm a third generation yogi. So my grandfather was a very respected yogi in India. My aunties, my uncles, my mother, they all practice yoga, but they're also in the holistic field. So Ayurvedic doctors, acupressure doctors, homeopathy. So it was something I was born into and grew into it without even really knowing that I was taking it on, really, something that was just part of my life and my foundation. So yoga became something that I just did without really thinking much about it, and without having any intention of teaching it later on down the line. It's something that I felt benefited from, and I benefited from. And also throughout my school years, it really helped me mentally as well, because the school years can be quite straining for some of us. You know, you a lot of the time you're kind of bullied in a way, but you don't know that you're bullied, because everyone has obviously their own opinions when they're kids. And so I think it really did help me come through the school years, and it just took a life of its own. Yoga just became something that I did once a week in the gym, and then gradually just built every day. And I was doing international retreats, teaching it residential homes and hospitals, corporates, celebrities as well, I suppose, pro athletes as well. And then obviously did lots of workshops, retreats after that. Different types of retreats I collaborated with many other fitness instructors and with their niches in Reiki and fitness in how body fitness, etc. And then and that's it. And then I also expanded then into Reiki, and became a Reiki master, an animal Reiki healer, and which I've now taught my son as well. So and that's one of my main focuses. I think that I really do want to pursue that more, where I can really help people understand how to communicate with animals, because I think that's really essential with the vibration that is now we're at, the expansion of the vibration of the consciousness. I think it's really important to understand at the animal kingdom. So this is again something I really want to pursue from the retreats. Hopefully, if we can get out. If not, then we'll find a way, I'm sure. And so that's really my yoga background. It's 25 years teaching yoga. It's a long time. I did start young, but I started teaching later on. And that's really the yoga side of it, I suppose.
Yeah. No,
how about yourself? You're also yoga background. So.
I do have a bit of yoga background. I started doing yoga a little bit in high school, and then I got pretty big into it in like my mid 20s. And then when I was in my early 30s, I did like a yoga teaching training. And then I did a bunch of like yoga retreats and stuff like that. And it's something I always come back to, and I always do a bunch of asanas. And I definitely think that, I've been a vegetarian for 11 years and all this, but I wouldn't identify myself as a yogi. I'm just like a person who uses aspects of that, the yogic tradition, because I think that they're really, really great ways to deal with stress and deal with everything. So I love yoga, and I'll always go back to it, and it's always going to be a tool for me. But I think my thing for me more is because because I also, after I did my yoga teaching training, I like taught like 2 classes and was like, ugh, I can't do it. Like, I'm not very good at like pre-thinking, like, what's the next move gonna be for everybody? I'm like, whoa, that's so stressful. Like, I was like, oh, I don't think I could do this. Like, that was just for me to like hone my skill more, I guess. Um, I I'm more of a I have like magical things happen to me all the time. I don't know if I have like a third eye that pops on and off all the time or
Mm,
what, but like I've had like, I mean, like I'm talking about like I was a kid who thought I could control the rain, like legitly thought I could control the rain, and it went away at puberty. And it's like I have like I definitely have a connection to other realms. And I'm always trying to figure, like, I'm a born lucid dreamer. I'm always trying to figure out like what's what is this reality? What's really going on here? Like, and I
mm,
always have I kind of identify as a star seed. I have memories of being other things besides this. And
mm,
I also, humans don't make sense to me a lot. I'm like, what are we doing here collectively exactly? Okay. All
mm.
right. Like, I'm very much a sovereign being in that yeah, I don't belong to any one group or organization or philosophy all in on anything. I always have to have my own independence about everything. And
Yeah.
especially like politically, I find it just so bizarre how dogmatic we get about things. And I definitely think throughout like 2020, and then now that we're in 2021, I I just have just been so confused at kind of like the paths people are choosing to put their energy towards. So
Mm.
yeah. So for me, for doing this thing, I really hope that we can give people tools to get out of that.
Yeah, definitely to find that leadership. I think that's probably something that did connect us as well. We both have that independent drive and leadership within us, which is really the age that we've now come into, the Aquarius age,
Mm,
which is all about sovereign leadership and finding who you are as unique individuals in the collective consciousness. But yeah, I do really relate. From a young age, I've really looked at people without disrespecting anybody, but just thinking, what is wrong with these children?
yeah.
Not looking down at people, because obviously I didn't even know what that was, but just not being able to connect vibrationally. I think because I was already very, very aware when I came into this plane, and spiritually aware, very, very spiritually aware. And I think that's what's took me on the spiritual path. And I think we connected a lot when we did the Reiki healing, and the chakra alignments when we did those as well. So I think, and it is about your vibrational family now. It really is. A lot of people have found out now, especially with what happened last year, and now that blood isn't as thick as we thought. Really, the vibrational family is much stronger
Yeah.
because we're all on the same wavelength, and we're supporting each other, and we're waking this consciousness of humanity and all sentient beings. And collectively we can change timelines. We have the ability to be able to manifest what people would consider impossible. But it's that collective energy, that is that vibrational family.
I
And
100% think we can change timelines. And um I know for myself, I was even getting sucked in by the, oh, what's gonna happen here, what's gonna happen there, like uh the whole like COVID BS stuff, and like getting like, oh, are they gonna do this to us? Are they gonna mandatory this or mandatory that, or have us like and I kind of remember thinking to myself, wow, I'm sure giving these people, whoever these people are, a lot of power, you know.
yeah,
And I definitely
like
think,
being in that vibration of fear.
yeah, exactly. But that's I think what is being projected out there, and you don't have to be in that. You don't have to,
Mm. Yeah,
just
I mean,
because
number
like
one.
it's being what presented doesn't mean that's what you have to get into.
Exactly, yeah. I mean, obviously the perception is being fed to them through the media that they're listening and watching, and that's a choice. If people do decide to listen to that particular media, and listen to and go onto those platforms. And obviously we've seen so much censorship on the big tech, and thankfully we've got the alternative platforms coming up. But if people do have the choice, you know, of what they listen to and what they see, but that vibration of fear alone, um you know, and every doctor, you know, doctor in that industry knows this, but a spiritual doctor will always know this. um Fear manifests a very low immunity. Any type of fear and stress breaks down the immunity, and something that wouldn't affect you normally is now going to either turn into some respiratory infection, or, you know, anything that's connected to that. And also because of the long term vibration in the fear, you know, and the long term lockdown, and the long term sitting in the super electromagnetic energy that's within the Wi-Fi, and all these things are connected. And not being able to get out and ground yourself, put your feet on the earth, you know, walk around the trees, you know, release that carbon dioxide and inhale that oxygen. And obviously the long-term mask wearing, you know, all of these things, they all contribute. But all comes down to fear. It all comes down to fear. And then, and also how people see themselves. You know, people really have almost belittled themselves as they're just these little beings that can just be talked to and told what to do. And there's none of that sovereign energy of, I am my leader here. You know, I am the manifester. I co-create my life with the creator. Nobody else does. Nobody else has the right to create my life and tell me what I should and shouldn't manifest within myself or within out there. I have the power to manifest whatever I want. And this, all being well, I trust that is what we're going to bring out in this podcast, and for how many weeks we go on, and forever, as it all being well, like as long as we can.
Really well said.
Yeah, this is what it's about. You know, people need to connect with that sovereign leadership. And now that we have we've just entered this Aquarius age, and for so long, I mean, obviously it's not just the Aquarius age, but for so long I've just been feeling out of sorts with this life. I've not been gelling. I'm not one of these people that keeps with the Joneses. You know, and unfortunately those are the people that are suffering right now, as well as the people obviously of fear of the virus, but the so-called virus, should I say. But the people that have now been moved out of a way of life that they were living for so long, whether it's holidays every year, how many holidays a year, or fancy cars, or going to fancy restaurants, or doing these fancy things, they can't do them anymore. And they were relying so much on that way of life that society gave them and told them, this is what you should be doing. And you should be watching these things, and you should be listening to these things. And I was never interested in that. Since I've been a little girl, I've never been interested. I'm not one of those that keep up with the Joneses people. And so for someone like me, I'm welcoming this, thinking this is an amazing change. And as people in humanity awaken, and all sentient beings awaken, and we go back to a life, and obviously I don't want to repeat the line that the deep state continue to say, which is build back better.
Right.
But we want to build back better, but in a different way, in a higher vibrational way, and not reliant on a society that tells us what we should and shouldn't be doing. What makes you happy? This is what makes you happy, so this is what you should be doing every day. You know, this is what makes you happy when you've got your fancy house, and you've got your lovely family, that with, you know, you and your husband, or your husband and your wife, and your two kids and your dogs, and
Your white picket fence.
it's just holidays. It's so superficial. That is what is superficial. And it's superficial if you have the attachment to it, to rely on that to give you contentment and peace, and help you feel ease, because none of it is constantly a money chasing life, constantly attached to money. And you become a slave of it. You become a slave of money and everything that money can buy. And if people can't disattach themselves to that, they will always be craving for it, and they're going to struggle right now and for however long, because this isn't going to stop.
Yeah,
The
it's not.
it's not going to
And
stop.
there's always going to be pushing this like comparative agenda. Like even the way we're indoctrinated in school is like, you know, you're graded amongst each other, like you're compared to other kids. You're
100%,
like,
yeah.
we have like such a weird competitive society where oh, you're supposed to have achieved these things by these ages, and you
Mm,
know, we have like the measure of success is the amount in your bank account, or the amount of possessions you have acquired, or it's a bizarre agenda that's being very, very, very manipulatively pushed on us from a very, very young age. I was thinking
absolutely.
about it the other day. I was like, besides politically everything being like weird, like we're being controlled by a couple of monopolies. Like we have allowed certain corporations to just get too much power and too big to where they buy what they want to buy from
Mm,
like a government systems all around the world.
mm,
And they don't have our best interests at mind, you know, like if you
mm,
want to take whatever Coca-Cola, or if you want to take 5Gs, or whatever whatever industry it is, they don't have it's just like completely run on greed. So at the same time I say that, talking to you on my MacBook with my
mm.
iPhone next to me,
Yeah.
so I'm kind of going, what is it I can do to start, like, not even just bucking the system, but to not feed the beast, to not feed into it. So like for me recently, like the last couple of months, I've been thinking like, okay, so I've been researching, when I need a new laptop, I'm not going back to a Mac, even though I've been in with a Mac since I was 18. Like this time I'm going, there are independent little, like there's ethical ways of getting even electronics. There's a phone called Fairphone, where
Mm.
Apple literally uses child labor, paid a fine, and is just like still using child labor. And we're like, oh, that
Mm.
sucks.
Did
Yeah,
Ricky
let's
Gervais
do.
mention that in his speech, in his introduction when he was doing Oscars, was it, or something? When he did, Ricky Gervais
Oh,
mentioned
Ricky
all
Gervais, yeah.
the sellouts.
The salads. Well, and you know, and like it didn't really like hit me until recently. And I'm going like, why, like, don't bank at a major bank, bank at a
Mm.
small credit union, something like local. Don't,
Yeah.
you
When
know,
you told me that, actually, I did start looking out here and just seeing if I could go into a smaller bank as well, which is on my radar. I'm
yeah.
thinking of
Well,
that.
and it's like I still have my iPhone, you know,
Mm,
but at the same time, I'm not gonna get a new phone until I need a new phone. So like this one's only like a year and a half old. So
mm,
hopefully I get another 2 years out of it. Cool. But
mm,
after that, like like when, if I'm not saying go out today and buy all these new things, but I am saying start being really vigilant. Like the next time you need something on Amazon,
mm,
like I'll give you an example with that. Uh, I I had to back up all my other podcasts. I had to back up all the files, and so I didn't have enough room on my computer, and so I got an external hard drive.
mm,
Well, I went to two different stores locally, like in-person stores. I was going to try to buy one there first. Either place had what I was looking for. Then online, I like looked at all my different options. I looked at all kinds of other little stores I could get the same thing from. The external hard drive was $150 cheaper on Amazon. So it's like,
mm,
okay, I tried. I looked, I didn't just boom, go for it. I tried. I looked other
mm,
places. I ordered it from Amazon. Okay, fine. I don't feel that guilty about it because I at least put effort into like looking for another way to do it. But
mm,
there are plenty of times where I have looked for another way to do it, and I'm like, oh, actually, this thing's cooler on Etsy, and I'm getting to support like an individual here instead of some weird corporation. So
mm,
I think we really need to start doing a little bit more conscious research on our purchases, because your purchases actually
mm.
are right now currently one of a
Yeah.
very, very big vote you have.
Yeah. The thing is, in every single way, they have made it that way. And we say they, the ones that are behind the puppets that we see. on the screen and here on the radio, but they have made it that way that people do not have the choice almost. They've made it so easy to jump on Amazon. They've made it so easy to, you know, just stare at your iPhone and get all this information. They've made it so easy in so many ways to just follow their book, you know, and follow their companies and work with their companies. And like we had Facebook pushing us, YouTube, Instagram, you know, you've got the Twitter. You know, you have to really do the research to find these alternative platforms now. You have to do the informed research to find out about anything else that's not in the official narrative, because we, you know, with our, in the UK, you've got BBC, which is funded by Bill Gates himself. So you know, that's all being pushed in your face, and it's just there for you to see. And but when you want to get the alternative narrative, you have to research, you know, and find out what else is going on, and look in these different websites, etc. So it's for people, they've made life so busy. In people, you know, people can just do not get that time in their life where they can do the research. They've just made it so that you are stuck in this bubble, and you've got to look after your kids, and you've got to do this, and you've got to do that, and they go for the easy option. Just go for the easy option, you know. So people do need to find that will really, and the drive to say, no, hang on a minute, you know, I'm just going to take out that little bit of extra time. I'm going to make the time to just find out something about this information that I'm being fed, and just see if this is the correct information that I'm being fed about this certain
and
subject.
To that point, I feel like people really need to start thinking of like, okay, if you agree with big media, big tech, all of like if you agree with everything that you're being fed, then I'm not saying that's wrong or that's bad, but you really should question that. Like, that's weird. Like, that's interesting that everything that comes on the news, I just am like, yes, master, yes. That's
yeah, I know. You look at them and you think,
everything.
Do you have any critical thinking left? It's just constantly like, yes, whatever I'm hearing and seeing, that's right.
Well,
you know?
and then they'll say like, well, you need to be careful with your misinformation. I'm like, oh, my misinformation, that's a term.
You know, it's really funny. I can't remember if I mentioned this to you actually, because I'm on a yoga group on Facebook actually. I don't use it at all, and I think I've only ever posted once. I think there's thousands on there, and there was a lady on there that posted something about, one of her students is following QAnon. I don't agree with the whole QAnon thing. You know, everybody has their right. You know, some of the stuff that came out obviously makes sense, and I know a lot of it's true, but I think a lot of it is really about giving you're putting your life in as someone else's hands. Yeah, you're not taking that you know, taking it back within yourself and making some kind of change within yourself. But this lady had posted that one of her students was following QAnon, and she was posting this misinformation on her page. And she, as a yogi, she didn't want to disagree. You know, she was very like neutral and impartial, and she didn't want to make anyone feel like they couldn't, you know, voice their views and stuff. But as it was such bad misinformation, she said she just doesn't know whether she should just delete it. And there were so many of the teachers that agreed with it, you know, this, once you've gone down the rabbit hole, there's no coming back, and all this stuff. And I thought, that you're just so contradicting yourself. You're saying that, you know, you're spiritual, you're a yogi, you know, and yogis, we don't have judgment. Yogis, we don't have that judgment of someone's perception. You understand why they have that perception, and you help them understand why you have it.
And it's so bizarre because like I am not really into QAnon because I've looked into QAnon.
Yeah,
I've read all the things on QAnon. I followed a bunch of different posts. I like looked at what the people were saying, and I was like,
me too.
Okay. Like, I mean, and like I said, like there were some things that they, particularly about the child trafficking, that like needs to be brought to light. So like they did do, it wasn't completely horrible movement, but at the same time, they also had this whole element, you know, we were going to get saved by the Trump administration.
Exactly. There's a savior. Yeah.
There's a savior complex thing. Trust the plan. Like this whole thing, which was not into either. But like I can say I'm not into QAnon because I know what QAnon's about. But people like just go like as if they're experts on it, like, oh, it's horrible. Why do you think it's horrible though? Like, you haven't actually looked into it, so why do you think it's horrible? Like, no, you're told it's horrible, so that's why you think it's horrible. And
Yeah.
it's just one of those things with everything that's like that, like conspiracy theorist. It's like,
Mhm.
these are
Don't even know what it means.
misinformation is a weaponized term that, if you haven't noticed, has just come about in 2020, that they're using to anybody who's questioning the narrative. Like, if you're like, like, well, how many people have actually died this year versus would have died, like, if there wasn't COVID? You're like, oh, the numbers haven't gone up. That's weird, right? Misinformation. Like, that's like, oh, she's questioning something.
I
Conspiracy
know.
theorist. It's
The
like,
thing is, I mean, with all this, the COVID stuff and the lockdowns and etc., the masks, etc., it's not as if they told the truth all the time. I mean, a lot of the time the truth is on the CDC website, it's on the WHO website, the Public Health England website. They, in March, they declared that COVID was no longer a highly infectious disease, and that was put on the website. Did everybody forget to look on that website where the information was coming from, where our government in the UK was following the WHO? They forgot to look at that website and see that the disease had been downgraded. It was no longer now a highly infectious disease. So why did we even go through lockdown? It was before we went in the first lockdown in the UK. And then the next thing as well, with the masks, you've got the masks.
yeah, there was
the whole malarkey about masks, which I
definitive
would just
actual
completely, I would never put it on my face.
there's lots of
Sorry, go ahead.
studies that show that it's like that they had done before coronavirus, that it is ineffective for spreading viral loads.
Because virus particles go straight through. They're so small, but even with that, the damage that the masks do, the carbon dioxide is inhaled back into the body, and the oxygen depletion, and the bacteria around the face, and that it causes acidity in the body. But then the 21st of January, just again a few days ago, the CDC announced, oh no, sorry, the WHO announced on their website, which our government follows. So really, they should now be acting upon this, that people do not have to wear masks anymore unless they showing blatantly the symptoms of high temperature, fever, which I'm sure people wouldn't even leave their house if they had a fever and a temperature, and they're constantly coughing. They no longer have to wear masks. That hasn't been relayed in our media, and that hasn't been relayed by the government. But if our big organizations and companies that are now stopping people from coming into their shops unless they have a mask, if they need to look at that information, and they need to then communicate with the government and say, well, this is what the WHO is saying. But obviously we're only being fed what we are supposed to be fed, and this is why people need to have critical thinking.
It's amazing how, like, that makes me go into another thought pattern of, okay, so are we just addicted to fear? Is that it? Is like, do we just want to be in? I mean, I definitely know that fear sells. So
Yeah,
a newspaper is, or some sort of news organization is going to get way more clicks on the spread of the infection is blah 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 than they are on, oh, there's only, well,
yeah.
okay, there's
People, there is something in
comorbidities.
100%, yeah. There's something in people which has been there, I think, from day one, where they need to have something to talk about. There's got to be like an excitement, and like, oh, this is happening, and the whole fear that and the people that the amount that they keep saying to you in the media that are dying. Obviously, but for as far as I'm concerned, nobody has died from COVID. Lots of other things, but no one's died of COVID. But they're putting this like moments in people, so there's something to talk about. This has happened, this has happened, this has happened. It's like something that they want to make a big deal of. It's like you will call drama queens. Everybody needs to be a drama queen. Everybody needs drama in their life, otherwise it's just a boring life. They need drama. And the other thing is, people constantly look for the victim within themselves, don't they? So there's always something to worry about. So when there's, and that's the reptilian brain as well that we have. So there's always got to be something to worry about. So when one problem has been resolved, the mind then looks for another problem. So, okay, now this has happened, and then that's resolved. Okay, now I need to look for another problem. The mind cannot settle and just find the state of ease. This is actually what I'm going to write about in my next book. The state of ease versus the the fiction, I believe, of disease, where the mind looks for ways to be at dis-ease. It looks for problems. And then people need to understand that that is the controlling, the ritual brain, that part of the mind that wants people to be in fear and to be the victims or to find drama. People need to find drama in their lives.
And like, even when you come back to, I also do energy healing as well, but I didn't mention that before. I
Mm.
And when you study the placebo effect and how absolutely strong all that is within our brain structure and everything, you're kind of going like, well, then you can like I don't get sick. Like, I just don't get sick because I don't decide to get sick. That's
Mm.
kind of how it works for me. And then if I feel I'm getting run down, I
Mm.
do some self-love. I nurture myself. Like, I know that I like, when I'm perfectly healthy, I don't get sick. The only time I can get run, if I don't take care of myself and I let myself get run down, then yeah, I can start to feel like I'm about to get sick, and then I need to, it's boom, it's time to take care of yourself. But we
Mm.
all have like really, really true way to self-heal. We just
Yeah.
do.
Mm.
And if you don't know how to do that, there's lots and lots of
Mm.
resources out there for you to look into that. And that is what we all need to be going to. We always focus on unhealth rather than being healthy.
Yeah. It's a belief system as well, because people believe, and they've been told, about how people can catch viruses and bacteria, and these things make them ill, when no one has ever proven that these things make someone
Nope.
ill. And also, like, like, obviously I have my little boy and he's at school all the time, and one child catches something and all the children catch it in a class, and then you'll find the parents turn around and say, oh, when they come home, oh, we're going to get it now. So we're going to get it
Mm-hmm.
now because their child's ill. And I used to follow this belief. And then one day I thought, my child only gets poorly when he returns back to school on a new term. And actually, in fact, most of the children are the same. They all fall ill around the first week or couple of weeks when they go back after the holidays. And then everybody's fine. And that is because they've had a break and their body's been at ease and they've been free and they've not been controlled and been told what to do and have had to be zombies in a school where
Yeah.
they've been following rules. And now all of a sudden that's what they are in. They're following rules and they're being told what to do, when to speak, sit on a chair and listen to what we're telling you is right. There's no questioning about it, which I tell my son, well, don't ever follow that, because when you tell me what you've done at school, I have my own opinions and you have your own opinions. But I've noticed that was when they were, they were diseased, they were discomforted, and that's why they were falling poorly. And then obviously the parents think all of a sudden now they're going to be poorly, and they were. But then when my child did I think the last term, and it did happen again, and I thought to myself, right, I'm not going to be poorly because I'm not in any discomfort. I'm not in any dis-ease. I'm actually feeling very good about myself and I'm doing everything I want to do, and I feel good. So it wasn't even that said to myself, I feel healthy. I know I eat very well. I eat my nutrients and I have all my nutrients, and I'm a yogi. I'm constantly physically and I look after myself neutrally. But it was my state of mind. It's the state of mind and the belief system. And I 100% believed I'm not going to be ill because I'm at ease. I don't care if my son's right next to me and he's sleeping next to me and he's breathing on me and I'm sharing the same plate and the food as him. I'm not going to be ill. And I wasn't. And I think twice that happened when he went back to school and I wasn't. And now I honestly feel that it is my belief system. And
Yeah.
and the way I now believe is, if you're in a state of ease, it's impossible for you to be in a state of disease. You cannot be in a state of disease when you're in a state of ease. But the thing is to get into that state of ease.
Yeah. I mean, I 100% agree. And I just, the only times I ever get sick or ill or whatever is when like I think it's subconsciously when I want a break, like I want an excuse to get out of something I have to do.
Yeah.
Other than that, like
Mentally not. Yeah, you're mentally at a disease now. You know, you're
uh-huh.
mentally like, "Oh, I just don't want to be here. I'm doing something." And this is what people have to think about, because people normally in jobs that they don't want to be in. They're doing the hours that they don't want to do. They may be in relationships they don't want to be in. You know, they're probably eating things that are not on a good vibration.
Yeah.
They may not have time for exercises. You know, they may be, again, like we said, surrounded by radiation all the time. And this is all going to cause a dis-ease and a discomfort in the mental and the emotional state. And it will manifest physically for them first before it manifests in their life, because they are the closest to their emotion and their mental state. So
And I do notice the people that I know who have had chronic illnesses or immune disorders, or you know, I have some very close people to me who've had cancer, and this, there's low lying dis-ease for long periods of time before this like gets manifested in them. And then they also, most of the people I know who have these ailments like to shield them and use them as it's doing something for them, like this
yeah.
they're getting something out of being unhealthy.
Yeah, exactly. And you'll find a lot of people, again, you know, it's just it, you know, I don't like to blame people for it, because it's just the perception that they're feeding themselves some way and the belief system. But you will find a lot of people do become victims in that way, where they do manifest an illness because they need a reason to feel, maybe get attention, number one, to 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 make people understand why they weren't able to do certain things, because they had this particular illness or particular disease. And they don't, then subconsciously they will not want to heal it. And I have had people in my life where I've known some ways that could possibly help them um, heal some illnesses, or whether even if it's, you know, external, and they've not wanted the help. They've not wanted the help because, from what I can feel and see, they were happy in blaming that particular illness and disease for the way that their life is, and for what they're getting in their life and what they're able to achieve in their life. You know, but if
Yep.
people do, if people conquer that fear, because it is walking through the fear. I think I think we spoke about this maybe a while back, when I spoke about walking into the darkness.
Yeah.
Because it's only when people walk, that people have a fear of the darkness. People have a fear of dark or black or whatever they want to, you know, call it. But that is the healing, because it's when they walk through that, they're fine be able to see, because it's only in the darkness where the nothingness is, where everything exists. You know, it's not even, it's not a matter of being able to,
Yeah.
you know, I mean, we spoke about this before as well, so we can
Yeah, I
possibly
mean, I
talk about
definitely think that you we have such this fear of the unknown,
that.
and we have to face it and get over it and go through it. And like, I know so many people are scared of being alone, or so many people are like, I have a friend who won't meditate because she doesn't want to be by herself. Like she's literally told me before that that sounds like the most boring and scariest thing ever. Like she doesn't, she's with herself all the time. She doesn't want to just be alone with herself. And I'm like, wow, that's yeah. Um
I
but
think a lot of people have found that during the lockdown, because they haven't spent time within themselves and really learned about who they are. They don't enjoy their own company. So now when the lockdown put them in that position, they're thinking, boy, I don't even know how to deal with myself. I don't know who I am, you know, my thoughts, but, you know, what can I do? Who am I? What do I really like? What really makes me
yeah.
jump out of bed every day? You know, what gives me that glint in my eye? People haven't connected with that. It's all a bit about external.
But if you haven't connected with that basic element of just yourself, basically, I feel like that's primary. That's the thing you need to connect with first before you then can decide to be at ease with everything. You have to you have to know your inner self a little bit enough to know what baseline easement is versus tension. Like it helps you know where, like, when you are in fear. I think so many people are in such a constant state of fear right now that they don't even know that that's what they're in. Like there's just like these low lying
Yeah.
levels of stress that we live in, and we're just like,
Yeah.
cool, and that's not how it's supposed to be.
Yeah, that's that constant anxiety and anxiousness is always there, and people just live with it and think it's normal, and they haven't actually felt the bliss of life, you know, where they do feel actually doesn't really matter. Nothing really matters. We're all one consciousness, and we're all connected to the
Yeah.
all-knowing, all-powerful. We are all powerful and unlimited. People don't people I mean, this is, and obviously this is a blessing through yoga that I've been able to feel from a very, very young age. And even before I actually practiced yoga, and even before I qualified in yoga with my family first, it was something that I was born into, just an understanding that we were bigger than this. We're not just our bodies. We're not just who they call me. I'm not just Kiran, you know, I'm
Yeah.
more than that. And I had that understanding before. So I do feel that I came into this world already on a higher vibration, and well, in higher consciousness, should I say. And I obviously helped myself raise my vibrations. But definitely this is where people are now, and definitely the age has brought it upon everyone now that they have to deal with this. They're going to have to
Mhm.
choose the paths. They're going to have to choose whether they follow this path of fear, or whether they now follow this vibration, or find this vibration that's there, the awakening vibration, the sovereign vibration, where people can now take back their real identity, and you know, and connect to who and what they really are. People have that opportunity now. And so yeah, this is definitely an amazing time we're in.
It really
Definitely.
is. And I do think that it's like your cavity of consciousness of current consciousness has it, like we are all connected to the vast everything, okay? But what you actually can like hold in your perception is just the glass, okay? It only has so much in it, right? So you can choose to be, you, I've heard this said to me where it's like, there can be like 50% fear, 50% love. Those are like the two emotions that are everything is either a subset of love or a subset of fear. Like those are, whatever.
Mhm.
But and your capacity for what's in your vessel at any one time is only going to be like whatever. And a lot of people are living like 90% in fear and like 10% in love. And really, you don't even need 50-50. You need a little bit of fear because you kind of want to like not touch the stove because that would burn your
Oh yeah,
skin.
of course.
You know
Yeah.
that you need a little bit of fear about, don't stick your hand in the snake's mouth. But
Mhm.
yeah, but at the same time, you don't need even 50% fear. Like, and by fear I mean any emotion that is connected with that as well. You really can and should, and I mean, like, at least I would like to live
Mhm.
90% in love emotions and like 10% in fear. And so anytime, as a tool, something we can give to them this first time to go away, but really start asking yourself, like, on anything you're consuming, like any conversation you're having with a friend or a coworker or a family member or anything, any on any social media you're engaging in, anything you're reading, what emotion is this? Is this in fear or is this in love? Just
Mm,
really start taking a note of what these things are in, because
mm,
like I found for myself, I'm way, once I can start just identifying it as binary code, is it a one or is it a zero? Is this a
yeah,
zero, love, or one? I can kind of definitively step away from the fear easier when I look at it like that. Like it doesn't
yeah,
matter what the information is. I'm just like, is this fear? Is this fear based or not? Okay,
mm,
then
yeah.
that's cool. I don't want it.
Because we have the parallel is there, and it's getting so much stronger now, clearly so much stronger. You've got that fear going on, that path going on there, and you've got the love, and you've got the awakening, and you've got people raising their vibrations. But it is just a choice of fear and love. But I think for people to understand what love really is, it's just a matter of connecting to the heart, and then they will know how they feel about a subject, or they will know about if somebody says something to them. Did they react in fear, or did they react in love? You know, how they're going to act upon this. And it's just by placing the hand on the heart and connecting to the heart vibration and heart chakra. And it's like the heart coherence. So we've got the heart coherence academy out there, and a lot of amazing people doing amazing things now. And just the, you know, the three things they have to just connect to the heart with by putting their hands on the heart is, you know, I feel safe. You know, connect to the heart and just say, you know, I feel safe, I am safe. And also the gratitude and gratefulness that the love brings, and the world and our life bring. Feel that gratitude. And the third thing would really be to know that the life that you're living from the heart is your divine purpose. And just ask the heart, guide me through my divine purpose. You know, this is my divine purpose. And I connect to my heart, and heart is love, and heart is fearless. Heart doesn't have any fear. And if people could connect to their heart, take those 3 deep breaths, and just remember those 3 things, connect with those 3 things. And the first one, obviously, that they are safe. They will feel how they feel when they connect to love. Then they can choose, when they make that decision and somebody says something or they read something, how do they react? Do they react with how they react just now when they felt that heart, or do they react from a place of unsurety and distortment and all over the place? So this is a good way. And later on, obviously, in the few weeks, we will do a lot more by connecting with the heart and really help people.
Meditations and
100%. We'll open up that heart energy. You know, it radiates 6 feet and more, you know, around. We're very strong, and we'll do some strong postures to connect to the earth and ground ourselves and send out that energy and clear our energy around us, and awaken the sovereign beings within us, and almost the high priestess and the priests within us as well, which is a connection that we have to our ancestors. And so you know, I'm really looking forward to doing these things.
Yeah, very, 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 very looking forward to this.
So,
yeah, we can be the pillars of light, man. You don't have to. You like when you turn your beacon on.
Yeah,
it's
100%. Yeah, it's a matter of charging yourself with that. We are antennas. Our skin is an antenna, scientifically, you know, accepted, and we absorb that energy. So, you know, let's do this. So, shall we wrap it up? So,
yeah, let's wrap it up.
So this was a really, really good way to start. I'm really glad that we've now launched our sovereign vibrations.
Yeah, and if you guys have any questions, or you want to talk, questions, comments, whatever, make sure to email us, and we'll see what we can do.
Yeah, and we will have, in the next couple of weeks, we're going to have some links where you can download some free meditation, some checklists where you can check your own chakras as well. And we'll have different bits on every week from Nikki and I, and our past experiences. And we hope to bring as much as we can, so people can benefit as well for just taking some stuff off the sites as well.
Awesome. All right.
Lovely. Thank you very much for everyone for your time, and thank you, Nikki, as always.
Thank you, Karen. It was really, really fun.